Okay, look, I know how this looks, but before you click dislike and click off the video, let me tell you that this isn't a bad thing. Quite the opposite, actually. At the time of writing this video, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom got its 4th official trailer, and it finally showed us more than just Link falling, and it looked fantastic. But the trailer itself isn't what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about what this trailer means for the game and how it's going to shatter your expectations of what this game could be in the first place. But first, we gotta talk about what the first game in this duology brought to the table. Breath of the Wild is a different beast entirely. Like, seriously, this game is a slow burner for sure, as Link wakes up after sleeping 100 years, and he also has amnesia. This game lets you take your sweet time, as first-time players will probably even spend a few hours at least in the tutorial area alone. This game is massive, and the developers made sure they didn't want to impose on your freedom with a linear story shoved down your throat. Rather, objectives around the world to complete and act as a story progression, allowing you to go about the story any way you please. I mean, you could go see Impa after the Great Plateau, or you could wander off into one of the Divine Beasts and beat those first. Who knows? And that's what makes this game as memorable as it is. There's no specific order in which you need to do things, and you could tackle them at any point in time. The plot revolves around Link trying to save Hyrule from Calamity Ganon as he goes to each and every corner of Hyrule to reclaim the once lost Divine Beasts in his memories. Along the way, you meet a wonderful cast of characters that help you with your journey, and while it isn't a bombastic and grandiose story like other Zelda games can be, it really isn't trying to be that. It works for what it's worth. But Tears of the Kingdom looks like it's going to take things in a massively different direction. This game, as we all know, is supposed to be darker, or at least I presume so. Tears of the Kingdom was once supposed to be DLC for the Breath of the Wild, as that was simply the original concept. A ton of DLC ideas that became too much for DLC and became its own game, similar to how Super Mario Galaxy 2 was made. After the first trailer, hype was dying down and at an all-time low for a long time, as before this one, we only got 3 trailers that were super cryptic and showed off pretty much nothing besides a few cool things sprinkled in here and there. It got people wondering, is this game going to be just a glorified DLC for Breath of the Wild, similar to Splatoon 2 and Mario Galaxy 2? Why are they being so quiet about it? Just what is the deal with this game? Questions that the newest Nintendo Direct trailer kind of answered. This trailer showed off 10 times the amount of information as the other trailers, and finally gave us a taste at what this game is truly like, and looks more like a true sequel than ever. The only thing I really want to know left is what the dungeons will be like. The Breath of the Wild dungeons were fine, but they left a lot to be desired. Each one felt about the exact same, and were kinda short with puzzles that felt way easier than previous Zelda titles. Like I said, they were fine, but they could be a lot better. Breath of the Wild overall was a fantastic game, but really the best part about it was the fact that there's so much room for improvement. The game isn't perfect by any means, which perfectly allows Nintendo to get really wild with adding on to a sequel, and it looks like they're doing just that. But something tells me that this game is going to play out vastly different than what the previous game showed us. My main reasoning being that the story seems much more urgent than the previous game. Like in Breath of the Wild, you knew you had to stop Ganon, but it really wasn't that urgent of a deal. Like, yeah, okay, Ganon's there, but Zelda's holding him back, so it's all good, I got time to chill. However, with Tears of the Kingdom, the vibes I'm getting are really like a Majora's Mask situation, where the quest is urgent and needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Look, a mummified Ganondorf has been unleashed onto the world, who is arguably more powerful if we're to believe he's the source of the malice from the first game. Malice being already an extremely powerful entity. So if Ganon's hatred alone can screw up Hyrule this bad, imagine what Ganon in the flesh could do. Because now that this Ganon is free, at what is to believe to be the beginning of the game, I highly doubt this guy is going to sit around idly by and let Link do whatever he pleases. Or at least I hope not. We have no idea what Link is trying to do here, and there's so many possibilities on what it could be. Could he be trying to save Zelda from the clutches of Ganondorf? Could he be going only after Ganondorf? Are we getting the new champion's help and having to recycle the old dungeons? What is our goal here? Like, specifically, what is the goal? I mean, we all know the basic answer is to save the world, as is with every single game in the franchise, but seriously, this trailer gave us so much, yet we still know pretty much nothing, which, in my opinion, is honestly fine. No matter what, I'm shelling out $70 for this day one and playing it as blind as possible, but, you know. I have a few theories about this game which could be pretty big and give us a reason on why Nintendo held their cards so close to the chest, making sure not to reveal anything so they won't spoil any major plots of this game. My first big theory is a pretty big one, that being this Ganondorf is the first ever iteration of Ganondorf. Like, ever. The very first. the OG Ganondorf. Could be from Ocarina of Time, could be from a time before Nintendo hasn't told us about yet. Someone that could have spawned soon after Skyward Sword. Whatever or whoever this is, I theorize that this Ganondorf is unlike anything we have ever seen. Seeing how mummified this corpse is just to go to show that how long he's been down there, and nowhere in Breath of the Wild in the flashbacks or anything like that is it mentioned that Ganondorf was a person that was sealed away below Hyrule Castle, and not even mentioned in the prophecy from 10,000 years ago. This Ganondorf by proxy should be much older than that. This very well could be the original vessel used to reincarnate Demise after the curse he put on the hero in Hylia. What evidence do I have to back this up, you ask? Well, I mean, he does look pretty old. All joking aside, I really have no evidence to support this claim, as all I know, this guy could be Demise again, or someone completely new, but who knows. I mean, I would like to be right, as it could explain a lot in the grand scheme of things, but I'm not really holding my breath about it. My second theory is that Fi will make a return of some sort in this game. Maybe being as an unofficial guide to Link in his journey, as the Master Sword is confirmed broken in some way. Looks to have been eaten away by what I presume is malice of some sort, but I do think Fi at the very least will have some kind of role within this game. The original Breath of the Wild did briefly mention her in a small Easter egg where Zelda speaks about the Master Sword having spoken to her, so it is confirmed that Fi still resides in the Master Sword. And since Skyward Sword HD got a remaster on the Switch in 2021, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo that this was released so people could familiarize themselves with the character before her grand return, and maybe another certain hero's return. That's right, my third and final theory is that the green hand-sealing Ganondorf and residing on Link is in fact the hero of Skies from Skyward Sword. The very original hero at the beginning of the timeline that kicked off the events of the entire Zelda chronology. This version of Link was just a normal boy living out his life, with Zelda up in the sky until Zelda was swept away down to the surface where no one resides, and a mysterious voice calls out to Link in the night, being a previously mentioned Fi. Fi gives him the goddess sword, and which after collecting the sacred flames from the 3 continents, is able to be forged into the Master Sword, aka the most iconic sword in gaming history. The sword that is also able to seal away all darkness and evil that touches it, and the blade that cuts down the evil Demise once and for all, kicking off the entire Zelda timeline as Demise sets a curse on Hylia and the hero's reincarnations going forward. Skyward Sword is an amazing game, and it's no coincidence that this game came to Switch before the other Zelda titles, so the stories don't get mixed up with one another. Tears of the Kingdom will have an insane connection to Skyward Sword, and everything they've been showing us is hinting towards it. We just don't know it yet, and that's why Nintendo is so secretive about this game, is because if they reveal too much of anything, it could spoil the entire story going forward. I know this video was kind of all over the place, but I don't know, this is all speculation, and at the end of the day, it really is just scattered speculation at that. I know that whatever Nintendo decides to bring to the table will be awesome, and totally worth the $70 price point, right guys?